Hello, guys, and welcome to my week one preview of the NFL season. Tonight we start with um, the Dallas Cowboys at the Super Bowl, reigning Super Bowl champions, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Brady versus Dak Prescott. That awesome. Uh, Obviously, the weapons Brady has around him are as awesome. Still awesome. They have not lost many players in the preseason in postseason, so it's a lot of the same faces from last season who won the Super Bowl. But big story, I suppose a big story on the other side of on the Dallas Cowboys side of things is Dak Prescott, first game back as a Cowboy in a competitive game. So yeah, that it's going to be a really interesting game tonight, and a great way to start. Uh, a great way to start the NFL season and a big game to start with. Talking about starting with a bang, that it looks good. I think it's going to be very tight to call who wins it. I expect points on the board from both. I expect at least a couple of touchdowns each, but I think it could be a tight game. Um, but as you know, in the NFL, the you got seven. This season is a 17-week season, so one loss will not define your season this early on. Um, but we move on to the early window here in the UK. I'm based in the UK, so some of the timings will probably be UK time. If you're based in other countries, it obviously be different to you. I'm based in the UK, so we have an early window, which is a 6 o'clock window, and a 9:25 window of games. And then we have um, Sunday night football and Monday night football, which are early hours of each of Sunday night, Monday morning, and Monday night, Tuesday morning. So when I say the early window, these are six o'clock games, 6 p.m. games in the UK. But obviously, it could be a different time where you are, wherever you're watching around the world, or if you're based in America or anywhere. So yeah, but these are the 6 o'clock games. Um, yeah, these are week ones. 6 o'clock games. We have the Jacksonville Jaguars at the Houston Texans. It's going to be great to see how Andrew Lawrence plays in his first competitive game with Jacksonville. Jacksonville's got a few good weapons in the team. I think they've signed a couple of players to go with them. Um, as well. So it's going to be interesting. Houston Texans haven't had a really great off season, being a bit of a fractious relationship with about Deshaun Watson and other people, major players in that team have left. So it's a bit of a transitional period for the Texans. It's going to be a really interesting game. That straight away. LA Chargers at the Washington football team. Um, I think the Chargers are probably coming in underrated this year. I think they did a lot of good stuff with a unknown quarterback last year. The the quarterback come in and he really showed people that he was no sort of he wasn't in the fluke. It was no backup quarterback by accident. It showed that he was good enough. Justin Herbert showed that he was good enough to be in the NFL. So it's going to be really interesting this game as well. The LA Chargers and the Washington football team. I think I think going away from home, first game of the season's always going to be hard. But I think you know you want to build momentum in this season. So if you can get good, if you can be maybe 3-1. 4-1 out of 5 games in the first 5 games of the season. That would be good. That would be a positive thing. But like I said, nothing is settled on first game of the season. You know, it's a long 17-week season. So we go on to the next game, which are the Seattle Seahawks first at the Indianapolis Colts. Now the Colts this year have done a few decent things in postseason, with some of the signings, and in the draft. I think the draft had a decent draft. So I would personally expect the Colts to win that one. But the Seahawks are always dangerous, always quite physical team. So yeah, I think that's going to be a really, obviously, another good game. Giants versus Carolina Panthers. The Giants now, obviously their previous history in recent years is not good. The Jets have Sam Darnold back, and they've this season they've got to get better, to be having losing records regular in this NFL is not a positive thing, and I really feel for the Jets fans. I think that hopefully this season can be a season of a season where they can sort of get a little bit better. Maybe I'm not saying they're going to make the playoffs or anything like that, but maybe get more wins under the belt than last season. Be a bit more competitive. The Carolina Panthers, obviously PJ Walker, who was in the XFL, previously signed for them. They get McCaffrey should be back. I think he's back for the season, and he was missing him last year. Teddy Bridgewater has moved on, so it's going to be a real interesting game, that. And I think a lot of teams in the NFL this season some of them are in big transitions. We go into the next game is the Minnesota Vikings at the Cincinnati Bengals. Bengals have Joe Burrow back, for the season, as well. And Joe Burrow looked really good last season, before he got injured. So that was a little microcosm of what Cincinnati could be. So going forward, it looks very positive for them. The Vikings, traveling away to Cincinnati. It's not an easy game, but the Vikings will want to start off well. Nobody really wants to lose their opening game. So yeah, I think that's going to be another interesting game. Arizona versus the Cardinals versus the Tennessee Texans. Tennessee Titans. Sorry, upon me mislip there. I think that could be a really entertaining game. Two good quarterbacks there in those teams. Two decent offenses. Not maybe Super Bowl quality, but decent offenses that can throw the ball, can have people catch the ball, can run the ball as well. I think this last season we saw that running the ball become more prevalent and more of a weapon for a lot of teams. So I think that this is going to be a good game. The San Francisco 49ers at the Detroit Lions. Detroit Lions have, I think they have a change. They've changed a few personnel in the postseason, so that's going to be interesting. San Francisco 49ers have signed another quarterback, so it's going to be interesting to see whether it's Garoppolo or the new quarterback that comes in for the start of the season. and then probably the highlight, there's obviously another game, the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Atlanta Falcons, another interesting game to see where things are, see what they look like in action as well. I think, both last season weren't great. They would want to do, both teams would want to do better this season in the NFL. Both records were not to the usual standards. Both opposition, both teams, so they want to show something a bit better this season. Probably the highlight of the 6 o'clock games is the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Buffalo Bills. Now the Buffalo Bills got obviously Josh Allen, a quarterback. They've got a decent offense, a relatively solid defense. You can score points on them, but they looked very, very good last season. They have good weapons in key areas. The quarterback Josh Allen showed that he could win big games at big times last season. And then when we come to the Pittsburgh Steelers, have not really, they're a massive name in the NFL, the Pittsburgh Steelers, but their on the field performances haven't showed it in the last couple of years. Obviously, they've not been to a Super Bowl for quite a few years now. So for Pittsburgh, they really need to put a good run together this season, and to start away to the Buffalo Bills is probably one of the toughest starts to the season that you could possibly have. The Buffalo Bills obviously was in the AFC Championship game against the Kansas City Chiefs last season, so that's a tough start for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And then we go on to the 9:25 kickoffs in the UK. We have Cleveland at the Super Bowl runners up, the Kansas City Chiefs. Cleveland have weapons there. Have obviously Baker Mayfield's there still, and still have a lot of the big weapons that they had there in Cleveland. For the other side of Kansas City Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes, his performance in the Super Bowl, and obviously the way he got hurt, the way he got sacked and caught, and really probably had the worst game that he's ever had in the NFL. It's going to be really interesting to see how Patrick Mahomes looks in this opening game, because obviously the scars of this will there be a hangover? The scars of the Super Bowl. He's still got a really good offense and a good defense at Kansas. Obviously they're one of the favorites to go to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl again. Cleveland are looking to try to make it to the playoffs minimum. They've got a strong team, but it has to come together this year for Cleveland. Baker Mayfield, he's a good quarterback, but he's got to show the consistency to get them into the playoff contention again, and bring some happier times to Cleveland and the Browns fans. The next game, Green Bay Packers versus at the New Orleans Saints. New Orleans obviously Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers still there as a quarterback. New Orleans Saints, bit of a transitional place for them at the moment as well. Drew Brees retired in the off-season. What a great servant he was to the NFL, and especially to the New Orleans Saints. Obviously everyone remembers him winning the Super Bowl for New Orleans Saints. Not too long after the Hurricane Katrina. So what a great player Drew Brees was, and hope he enjoys his retirement. Um, for the New Orleans Saints, Michael Thomas should be back this season. Um, the quarterback battle could be interesting between Jameis Winston and the rookie quarterback. Um, it's going to be interesting to see who gets that starting place this season. This season and week one. Um, it's the NFL is an unforgiving league. You make too many mistakes in games, and you cost too many. If you lose too many games as a quarterback, and you're the one causing the fumbles, etc., throwing it, getting picked off, you won't last that long in starting roles. It's a ruthless league. Um, although some teams, obviously there's no relegation in NFL, all teams want to be doing as well as they can do. So it'd be interesting to see who he starts with, whether it's with Jameis or the rookie quarterback. Um, I think Jameis knows the league well. I think that year under Drew Brees wouldn't have done him any harm. Um, and then the next game is the Denver Broncos versus the New York Giants. Both teams last season poor, really poor seasons from both. Really must do better this season. Both teams still transitional. Both of them are been poor for a couple of seasons now, and must do better this season. That's the bottom line with that. It's gonna be could be a low scoring game, I think. Um, and then the next game is the Miami Dolphins at the New England Patriots. Tua versus Mac Jones. Obviously released. Full disclosure, I support the New England Patriots. I'm a New England Patriots fan. I've supported them since I was about 17-year-old. So for me, last season was nowhere near the standard that I'm used to seeing from my team, the organisation. Cam Newton, obviously we were missing a lot of players due to COVID dropouts as well. Cam Newton didn't get it done most times. Um, early on last season, he had to just literally um, sort of run it in on the goal line, and he didn't get it in, and it obviously we lost the game. There was too many mistakes this season. But this season we've got Mac Jones, a quarterback who's had a great pre-season. We've got weapons back in a wide receiver, and we've got a decent running game. So I'm really excited about what is going to happen this season for the Patriots, and where Mac Jones and the rest of the team, and where Bill Belichick could take the Patriots this season. We know it must be much better than last season. Last season was not good enough from the Patriots. It was a frustrating season, and it's the first season I've ever been frustrated watching the Patriots. So it must be better. But we go on to the Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins, I've seen so much negativity around them. Last season, they didn't do too badly. They were a little bit better than they were previous seasons. Tua is a bit inconsistent. It was a bit inconsistent when he come in. But he's a rookie. It does take time to adapt in this NFL. I think the lack of movement in Miami to strengthen is a worry. And I know I have friends who support the Miami Dolphins who would be worried about that lack of signings and lack of movement, like lack of sort of making the team better. So they're worried about that, and I think the Miami Dolphins could have a difficult season this season. But we know in the NFL, the shocks can happen, so that's going to be interesting. We go on to Sunday night football, which is a 1 in the morning EM kickoff in the UK, and that is the Chicago Bears and the LA Rams. And the Chicago Bears will have the new quarterback this year, and so does LA, I believe. I believe LA look a bit stronger this year, and I think Chicago look decent also. From the draft and from free agency, both teams should be challenging for playoff places, and even to possibly to the NFC Championship game. Both teams have the potential to get there. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. Big game. That's a big game to start on Sunday Night Football. With both teams, the Bears and the Rams. So that's going to be really interesting. And then Monday Night Football, we finished the week's action with Monday Night Football. And Monday Night Football is the Baltimore Ravens at the Las Vegas Raiders. And I think obviously it's another game that's 1:15 kickoff in the morning here in the UK. The Baltimore Ravens traveling to obviously they're traveling to the Las Vegas Raiders. I feel Las Vegas Raiders have potential to do better things. That new facility, that new stadium, I remember watching their first game in that new stadium and that atmosphere. I do think that atmosphere in that stadium will intimidate some teams and will help the Raiders to get more victories. For the Baltimore Ravens, it's all about getting into that playoff picture first of all, securing a playoff place, and then seeing where you could go from here. And I think same with the Las Vegas Raiders, I think both teams will be looking to get in the playoff picture. I think it's a great game to finish off week 1 in the NFL on Monday Night Football. It's going to be really interesting. It's going to be a really interesting game, and I think this season's going to be very interesting. With the extra game, obviously the 17th game. Obviously the draft, the people from the draft coming in to start in NFL teams. A lot of them, like quarterbacks, like obviously Mac Jones, possibly Trey Lance, Andrew Lawrence, and Andrew Lawrence, I think. And it's going to be interesting to see how these players do from the draft, because obviously some of them are coming from big college teams, from Oklahoma and Alabama, who are used to winning championships. Clemson, who are used to winning championships. So it's going to be interesting to see how they look in the NFL this season. But yeah, I hope for predictions, if it's hard to predict this week. I hope, obviously, I hope they're all good games and we get a lot of points, a lot of good players. I wish all of your teams luck this week, and if you support if you like this video and you support a certain NFL team, feel free to comment in the comments down below. Tell me how you think you're going to do this season. Yeah, so hope hope you like the video. Um don't forget to share and subscribe. And I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.